What's going on, everybody? I'm the Entertainist and welcome back to my Halloween Extravaganza. So this is my very first series review, and also this is a very late review because this is a series that has been out for roughly 2 years, The Haunting of Hill House. So I watched The Haunting of Hill House about a week ago. I had nothing but good things to hear from it by a lot of family members and friends, and I had to check it out for myself to form my own opinion, and boy did everyone talking highly about it pay off. So for those of you who haven't seen the series, it is about this family who grew up in this house, and the mother and father were going to flip it and sell it, and there was a lot of ghost activities going, a lot of paranormal activities going on in that house, and it started affecting the family and really kind of tearing them apart. And it also shows the adulthood of the children that grew up in that house and see how that manifested in their life over time and how it affected each and every one of them individually. The creator, Mike Flanagan, who directed Dr. Sleep, a film that I am a huge fan of, created this series and directed every single episode. And the show just looks great. I think the scenery and the cinematography is beautiful. It literally looks like a movie. So it's crazy to think that this is just a series that's on Netflix of like how well it's shot. Flanagan really knew how to keep the intensity going, as he did the same thing in Dr. Sleep. And the writing of this show is magnificent. The first couple episodes, I was a little thrown off because it was doing a lot of jumping back and forth between the present and the past of when they were all children, and even the past of like when they're adults but they haven't reached to the present yet. So there's a lot of jumping around back and forth, and at first I was like, whoa, this is hard to keep up with. But the more you watch it, the more it unravels as to what it's trying to explain to you. And it was done in a great timing on all these little secrets that you wanted to know. I was just astounded. It is such a creepy show. All the different ghosts that are a part of this, and there are some jump scares, but they're done right, and I like it when a jump scare is done right. And every time there was one in this series, it kind of made me jump a little bit, made my heart race. Sometimes it didn't, but still it was fitting. None of them were false jump scares at all, which I love because I hate when movies do that. And this one, they just did it right jump scare wise. And not only that, what makes it creepy too is that you really feel for the characters. You really there's one especially that I felt super sorry for. And I'm going to get into spoilers in this because it's been out for 2 years now. And I'm sure I'm the only one who just watched it for the first time recently, or one of the first ones. But if you haven't seen it, I am going to talk about spoilers right now. The character of Eleanor, I think I sympathize with the most because she just had it horrible. She had sleep paralysis, and this one ghost that kept haunting her called the Bent Neck Lady would give her sleep paralysis and was hovering over her in her sleep, and she couldn't move at all. It looked like she was having a stroke during this sleep paralysis. And in the very first episode, the final scene of the first episode, it shows her, kind of deteriorating, and she becomes all gray and just kind of disappears and vanishes. So she's dead, and they even say in the next episode how she's dead and how they need to plan the funeral, and it brings the family back together, and you don't really know how or why. And the episode that explains that, episode 5, which is probably my favorite episode, if not that, my second favorite, but that episode just dives deep into Eleanor's perspective. And you know what happens. You know that she's dead, and you know it's leading up to that. You just don't know how. And she gets married. She goes to see a psychiatrist, and she marries him, and they're doing really well, and he's helping her through her troubles. And then he dies, basically by the ghost that's haunting her, the being that is tearing her life apart. And she gets back into the sleep paralysis and has to help herself. So then when she returns to the house, the mother who was there, and I know for some of you who haven't seen that or watching this, I'm not going to dive deep into every single thing that happens in this show, so it might sound confusing when I'm explaining it, but for those of you who've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. When she goes to see the mother at the house, because the mother's dead at this point, and her spirit is locked in that house, she, she goes and the mother's like, wake up, it's time to come home, and she hangs herself. When she and this is like the final moment of the episode, when she falls and hangs herself, her neck is bent, and then it shows her in a trial of all the different sleep paralysis moments she has gone through over the years, and she was her own ghost. She was the bent neck lady that was haunting her all these years. I thought that was fucking brilliant. It made me feel so sorry for that character too, and that's what made it creepy too, because you're really for these characters. You feel like they're real human beings, and you're watching this terrible thing that's happening to all of them, which makes it, I think, intensifies the creepiness in my opinion. But I just think that's brilliant fucking writing. That she's dead, so that episode, that all this good shit is happening for the worse, and then just the execution of what was going on with her life. I thought that was one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen in any TV series. And I think that is the most brilliant writing aspect of that show. Another episode I love is the one right after that, where they're at Eleanor's wake. I don't remember the name of the episode, but it's the Two Storms. It's the one where they're at Eleanor's wake, and it's showing the family bicker and all the different issues they have individually and how they're trying to basically mash it all together. And it's going back and forth from a storm at Eleanor's funeral, while a storm that happened when they were all children at the Hill House, and how it all connects. I thought it was brilliantly made, how like it will show the father walk into a room, and then it shows, and then like it fades to black, and then it shows the father, the younger version of the father, and it goes back to basically the prequel to that, and how it just all connects. I thought that was brilliant. It's truly a brilliant show. As far as the ending goes, I've heard a lot of mixed things about the ending. I thought the ending was fine. I love that it wrapped up everything. Like, there was no loose ends, because this is a mini-series. There is Bly Manor, but that's its own thing. And I am going to review that next. I'm actually in the middle of watching that right now, so that's why I'm coming out with Hill House, then this. Bly Manor will probably come out after my Halloween Extravaganza, so it's not going to be a part of that, but still. Anyways, I think the ending was fine. It tied everything up, and that's the thing I love the most. I think there were some areas that were a little too hokey, though. Like, just some scenes that were done. It's not anything with the right, or anything of, like, what they were doing in the scene. It's just that some of the things felt a little too over the top, and a little too happy, I think, for how dark the series has been all before that. So The Haunting of Hill House is a great series. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. If you're into horror stuff, if you're into horror shows, I think this is better than American Horror Story so far, at least most of those seasons. I think this is one of Netflix's best series, and if you haven't seen it, you don't know what you're missing. And if you're a horror fan and you have Netflix, please check this out. I highly recommend it. I'm going to give Hill House a 4.5 out of 5 stars, just because of how I felt with the ending a little bit, but I don't think it was bad enough to take it off a full star. It's just that I thought some scenes were a little too over the top. And at first, if they didn't write it the way they did, I would have given it a 4 because of how much it jumped around, but the jumping around was purposefully used for how they were trying to execute what they were explaining to us. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know of what you think of The Haunting of Hill House. Do you like it more than Bly Manor? Do you like Bly Manor more? Bly Manor is coming right after my Halloween Extravaganza, because I got another review I have to release on Halloween. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace.